Speaking of anniversaries, in Japan, the 20th anniversary of the Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64!
If I could open my mouth and make crickets chirp, that's what would happen right now. I'm sorry. The Nintendo 64 is dog shit.
Wow, hot take, hot take.
Hot takes. I thought
that was coming out of my mouth. The crowd's turning. And this is why you like to see you podcast. We don't tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what you need to hear. Reality check.
I tell you what I want to tell you. You can digest it how you care to. So, I didn't hear that.
He said he played N64 last night. We all like the N64 to some degree. Ian's using a little bit of a hyperbole, I believe. Here.
I do that from time to time.
Ian is known to be a little over the top and acerbic.
Well, to the person who was talking about how they played N64 last night, the N64 was great for basically one thing, and it did one thing really well. It's a fantastic multiplayer system. And
you upset that man. He's walking out because of the N64 comments.
I can't handle this anymore.
Fuck you guys. Fuck you. I got it when I was 4. Best system ever. Fuck you, Ian. I'm unsubscribing. Rant video incoming. Fuck these guys. I thought they were cool. The gods have fallen.
So, it does one thing, and it does one thing really well.
It's my voice.
And that's making me really squeaky. It's fantastic at multiplayer between Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, my the two Snowboard Kids games, which I don't think get nearly enough love.
Oh yeah.
And all 4 of the AKI wrestling games, WCW NWO, Revenge,
Versus the
No
World.
Mercy,
Yeah.
and WrestleMania 2000. I could still play those for hours today, even though all the wrestlers look like giant chunks of beef jerky.
And of course, most of the Nintendo first-party games are obviously
Quite good.
classic.
Yes.
The Zelda games. Mario 64 is one of the best 3D platformers ever, and it defined the genre.
Yes.
You know, but there were some bad parts of the N64.
It has no RPGs.
Ogre Battle!
Yeah, one. Okay, the one guy in the room who knows that there's one. And it has the greatest subtitle, too. Person of lordly caliber.
All right, but it started a bad trend of not having packing games anymore and having only one controller keep with it, and having Nintendo not having really any launch titles for it at the time.
And it was the start of it. I mean, it still had a lot, but less third-party support.
Yeah, because Nintendo decided, for some reason, we don't like CD technology. You know, that's the future. That's where PC gaming had been for like 5 years. You know, you can do full motion audio and video, and you can hold a lot more storage than a cartridge. But we're going to be antiquated and dogmatic and be afraid of piracy or something, and stick with cartridge games, which fucked them with RPGs and other games that never came to console.
It's one of the big reasons Square wouldn't go. They want to make these huge cinematic games, and at the time, physical media was so cost prohibitive that you really couldn't do that sort of thing on there.
Sure, but there's the good times too. It probably was the pinnacle of a party game console.
Yes.
Because it had 4 controller ports built in, and it hadn't been seen since the first run of the Atari 5200, I believe.
Let me ask you a trivia question.
Oh God.
Mario Party. Who did the first couple of them?
No idea.
Hudson Soft.
Oh.
That's why they were so good.
Oh.
And that's why they fell so hard afterwards.
But you cannot talk about N64 without talking about GoldenEye. Because that game, that's why that guy walked out. Because every day in college, him and his roommates played GoldenEye. Because it was a 4-player first-person shooter on a console. And no, it was not. I had to tell all my dumb friends this was not like the first-person shooter game ever. There's something called Doom and Wolfenstein 3D and Duke Nukem that came out before. But it was the first one that was, you know, the first casual first-person shooter that millions and millions and millions of people could play easily. Mm-hmm. You need internet connection to play with your friends.
4 people sitting around like a 22-inch CRT TV,
Yes.
straining the hell out of their eyes.
At 12 frames per second, shooting the rocket launcher at each other, and the huge the cavern or what was the other famous one?
You got me. I hated the game.
You hated the game in the what was the one with all the shelves?
Stack.
The Stack, yes, the Stack. I was thinking of it.
I did like Temple, and there was the follow-up Perfect Dark. I actually really enjoyed Perfect Dark, and it kept some of the better maps from GoldenEye.
And it was cool. You had the power weapons. You had the Golden Gun mode, where it was one shot. There was a
Slappers.
a ton of features in the game. It was a great game, GoldenEye.
I didn't
But-
hate it. I just sucked at it.
But at the end of the day, the N64, once you get past, I always say you get past like the dozen games you had to play, you're left with about 200 sports and racing titles at that point that no one ever remembers or cares about.
It's the best system ever if you like mediocre racing games, and I think Gilly, if he's here, him and I talked about that earlier. If you love Top Gear games, it's absolutely the system you need to own.
Get Beetle Racer or whatever that one
That's
is.
actually really good.
That was a good one? Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, if it makes anyone feel better, because I said mean things about the N64, most people love it, and I think it's actually a system now that is more popular now than it actually was then. From the retail side of things, I can't keep Nintendo 64s in stock. I can't keep good games for the Nintendo 64 in stock. People come in and get mad at me because I don't have Mario Kart. Like, I'm just supposed to have a fucking stack of 20 at all times. And when it's like one of the best games for the system.
It's also the first time you saw that they took the Coleco Chameleon approach of having multicolored consoles, several of them for
Yes.
sale at various times to boost sales. They did add-ins like they did the DK version where you got Donkey Kong
And the expansion
and the
pack.
expansion pack. They had the expansion pack, which was a first, the first sort of console upgrade, really, right?
Luckily, it only made use of like 3 games. It was Perfect Dark, Donkey Kong Country, and Donkey Kong 64.
It's one of the Turok games. Used it, I think.
Zelda Majora's Mask. There were a bunch of third-party games where you could optionally turn it on for smoothing and things like that, but it didn't really matter.
So it was, to me, that was sort of not the last hurrah of Nintendo being on top, but that was the last time where they would sort of be the forefront of the video game scene.
They were considered an actual competitor in the console wars as kind of their own thing. And don't get me wrong, I really like Nintendo, love my 3DS and my Wii U, but it's not really talked about in the same breath as things like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One.
Sure. And that's when they slipped away the stranglehold on the video game market with the N64.